Hi everyone, Wrath here. So it's been about 24 hours since my hardcore necromancer died. I'm not quite sure what I did wrong, but death is ultimately your fault whenever you die on hardcore. You could easily say that what I did wrong was I tried to do hatred on Torment 4, and hatred on Torment 4 has never one-shot me before. He's always taken me to about 10% health, and the best, I haven't even bothered reviewing the live feed. I went to softcore and tested it out. I will say I was doing a four-person carry, and I was exhausted, and I was probably being reckless. I could normally kill the portals with the orbs, but I also do a variation where I just kill them with Blood Wave. But my Blood Wave on one player um, goes through the portals a bit quicker than on four player. But um, I went to softcore to go test it out, and I had also changed up my build somehow on softcore, and he was one-shotting me on softcore. So I went to bed and I slept on it, and I spent most of today testing Andariel, testing Hatred, and figuring out what I can do to survive both of these bosses on hardcore. And that problem starts with softcore and just figuring out how you can consistently live with them. So, um, you don't have to run Jock Show, but you definitely have to have gear. Um, and just to give you an idea of my gear, it is not perfectly masterworked. I have Max Life, I have Harlequins, Igni Quacks. Do I have a spare? What is Quacks? So I have 30.6k health. This should be enough for me to survive both Andariel and Hatred. There are other things you can do, and I don't normally like to go into details about what I do with my necromancer, but I will share some of the tech. Let me go back to town. Um, one of the changes I had made to my character that I just didn't even think about was I got a really good skill amulet on softcore, and I had something similar going on in hardcore. And this is a really good lesson for hardcore. Whenever you change up your character, you can make small changes to your character that you don't even think about. So this amulet is Death's Embrace and Amplified Damage. I was actually really excited when I got this because Death's Embrace is extra damage to targets in melee, but also an insane amount of extra less damage taken. So most people are going to see this amulet and they're like, oh, that's garbage. It's actually not. And if I had gotten this on hardcore, it would have been insane because Andariel and Hatred don't actually have one-shot mechanics. They have mechanics. Lilith doesn't have one-shot mechanics. They have mechanics that do so much damage that we think of them as one-shots just because we're not dealing with them correctly, and we haven't maximized our survivability. One of the big things about Diablo 4 is maximizing survivability. When you don't, things just kill. They seem unfun, but they are surmountable. So Death's Embrace was causing me to take a significant amount of damage reduction, and then I went to go roll this. I rolled this very early in the season, and so I also rolled Amplified Damage, which was just free skill. Skills are super hard to roll. I don't know what I was trying to roll on this, I definitely would have taken even probably a +1 to Gloom, Tides, or Coalesce, but this is what I got, so I went with it. And yes, this amulet was masterworked with a really bad low skill, and I probably will regret that, but that is for another day. So let's go say hello to Hatred. I did a lot of testing. Um, I have materials. It's not a good materials. The GA is not on damage reduction. If you decide to run materials for anything, you really want the GA to be on damage reduction. That is what is going to make it ideal. And then you're going to want to masterwork that. So I have a generic materials with 2 masterworking on damage reduction. And I can actually go and grab that really quick and throw it on. I didn't test it with the shake though, so I might end up surprising myself with the results, but we can just go and test that live really quick. Just to see what it feels like. I don't think Hatred's dash is magic. At first I thought one of my essences may have worn off, and maybe they did, and I had someone else's. One of the things I always try and do on hardcore is make sure that I have what I like to call non-negotiables whenever I play hardcore. I always keep my consumables refreshed at sub 15 minutes just because I personally tunnel vision so bad. Anyone who plays with me knows that my tunnel visioning is terrible. So I don't like to let my consumables tick down. It's just sub 15. I refresh. I normally notice by 10 minutes and sometimes 5 minutes, but that's where I go. So I'll go in really quick. Throw on Perditions. I only have 20k health. My Materials has 39% damage reduction. It is one of my favorite items in the game. And whenever I used it on my Spiritborn on hardcore last season, I don't recommend doing that, but my Spiritborn was almost exclusively my speed farmer until I made my rogue. And I fell in love with my rogue, so I ended up just doing the rogue full time. Materials can make any character on hardcore very durable. So if you have something that's squishy, don't be afraid to run materials early on. If you can at least do tier 4, it will make you feel safe. There's no reason not to bust him out. And to take care of those portals. I am trolling myself here. Anyone who hangs out by these portals is going to cause him to bait out and come attack. I like to keep these small portals removed. And do I have what boss powers do I have up? Okay, so I'm super durable right now, as you probably saw. It's gonna take a lot to kill me, but I'm an S tier damage build, so I don't need to stack a ton of damage for this. I literally need exactly enough damage to kill the boss, and any overkill damage is gonna be just wasted. As you can see, you can draw out the fight for a long time. I was just happened to naturally dodge. Materials did nothing for me. Now let's see what happens when I run a high masterwork Shaco with materials and what that ends up doing for me. It is good to generate defensives beforehand and to get blood orbs in play. You can only have so many blood orbs out. I've never bothered to count the exact amount, but it is not a ton. One of the mistakes I made when I died to Hatred is I did not immediately kill two of these portals. I was being really silly and just left them up. Now, as you can see, Hatred, my resists are at 82.9, I'll just say 83. My resists, super high. The Belial Beam, I am even tankier. So Trios alone is not enough. Apparently I can't run it with Perditions, but ooh, that is spooky. And that is what you need to be careful about, because normally I am fine on this fight. Staying on top of these portals is absolutely critical to survival, and this is what I need to know, is how tanky I can get. So that was Tyrael's Shaco. These dogs are going to try and hit me. These portals are up, they're going to spitch it, and then they're going to release the dog. You have a very narrow amount of time in which to do what you need to do. I need to get those, so staying on top of these portals is pretty critical, but as you can see, with enough defensives, oh, hey, and that was Shaco, that was with Shaco Shroud. You get, when you have a Masterwork Shroud, you gain so much survivability from it, and once, that's the whole purpose of this exercise. Hatred does a ton, but with enough health, you can survive it. Throw Tyrael's back on. Didn't have enough health there. So, but as you can see, Hatred is absolutely a problem that you can solve. I'm planning on making a character that I only do Hatred and Andariel on. Hatred, I normally don't fear Hatred, and I'm really frustrated. I am so unbelievably frustrated that my necromancer died because I made one change to gear and I did not catch it, and that's one of the important things about hardcore. How quickly your survivability can shift, and how complex effective health pool number is. And things that you might think are the game considers as close, like you can't use your own logic in your own eyes, so to speak. You have to just test stuff, and also trust that things can be coded a certain way. Things that you might think of as a melee mechanic, the game might actually register as ranged, and vice versa. The tricky thing about this setup, the very last setup, is just that the side portals and the main portal are connected to so many others, and it's very hard to one-shot a cluster. I really love to one-shot the right cluster and the left cluster individually. Sometimes I do right, middle, left, or left, middle, right. I don't stick to the same thing, but the big thing is getting, at least as a Bloodwave Necro, getting DPS in on the portals the moment they spawn. As you can see, if I'm not doing it the moment they spawn, the fight spirals out of control quickly. So understanding the fights in Diablo 4 are very much scripted in the same way that cutting-edge bosses in World of Warcraft are. And anyone who has done the difficult content in World of Warcraft knows that you have to be ready for the mechanic before the mechanic even presents itself. You have to be essentially thinking 3 steps ahead. And so being in position to eliminate those portals as they're getting ready to come up is so critical. Part of it is just the damage. 2 seconds after they spawn, they're going to be spitting out fireballs. And then on top of that, the dogs come out right away, and the dogs can shred your health bar. See, I'm already slow. That was unacceptable. That when you're exhausted, that is what killed me. I was exhausted. I was zero point 0.5 seconds away from being safe, and because of that, my character on hardcore is now dead. My character on hardcore probably had about 1 billion gold on it, worth of stuff, worth of. I bought my box. No, I got a shroud. I bought. I need to dodge that wolf. I bought my jaw. I bought my 6th jaw. I had a 7th jaw in reserve for when I teleported around. I think I died. I may have died with 4 epic runes on me, which isn't too much because my hardcore stash had a bunch of stuff in it. But I had at least 1 grand gem equipped. It was a topaz that set me back 100 million. I think I had. Actually, I can just go look at what I had on the character. So the amulet wasn't that great. The ring was. This ring. This ring is probably. It's going to get worse than this. This ring with GA to Alras is godly on hardcore. That ring it was going to carry me for a long time and do a lot of heavy lifting. I had this mace. I had an axe. I had a sword before the axe. The sword, I don't know why I had the sword. The sword probably wasn't even a GA. The axe was, and I masterworked it. I'm running Titan's Fall instead of Finality. It is so hard to get +4 Titan's Fall or Finality. I actually bricked a mace before this. This is actually my second GA Max Life mace. The boots, I had a double GA pair of boots that I found. I had a CDR Kaseme's. I don't think the aspect on this was this great. I think it was above. I think it was almost 2100. But a single GA aspect Kaseme on hardcore is super rare so far. My gloves had a double GA. I'm never going to find another. I'm going to have to drop at least 1 billion to get a double GA gloves. Shrouds are expensive. That was like my third thing. And then a Perditions. Like I bought all the box for Perditions. It has my Grand Gem in it. I lost an Igni Quacks and a Feel Nur. By the way, Feel Nur is one of my favorite rune words. You never see it on softcore because you just don't need it. You just eat the death. On hardcore, I can never be crowd control. And the one thing that fears me is crowd control. If you look at my death, this is my necromancer from last season. I completed my 150 pit on this necromancer. I did not fish for a perfect pit. I wish I had recorded it. I had some of the shittiest tile sets. They were garbage. And after my first 150, I got complacent. I was on about tile set 40 when I started just chatting with someone. As you can see, I'm not running Blood Mist. Right here is my only option for survival. I I don't know that this rune word even existed last season because they added some runes this season. I'm pretty sure they added some runes. Um, and I had perfect master workings. I had the really good gear. I had two GA on Perditions where I needed it, 2 GA on Shroud of False Death where I needed it. It probably took me about 2,000 Duriel kills to get this stuff. Um, Very nice piece of gloves. Finding a 3GA gloves is going to be tough. This was my Kasemes. I went back and forth on which Kasemes to use. This was probably one of the hardest things I had, one of the hardest decisions I had to make for the season, and I ultimately poured over Makuna Matata's videos on his 150 push, and the witch power wasn't even working. When most of the 150 videos got shot, the witch power was stacking infinitely. So, as far as I remember, most of the softcore necromancers were getting to 125 stacks. When I waited very long in the season to do my 150, I wanted to hit 300 first, and I could only get the witch power up to 64. I don't know if I just wasn't pulling enough, but over the course, I had 10 really good tile sets, and on all those tile sets, I could never get my buff stack more than 64. It always stopped at 64. So I think Blizzard nerfed that, and I just missed it in the patch notes. But here's my boots. They didn't have the right evade, but they had int and max life. Um, this mace, I don't think I bricked any maces, so I sort of got fortunate with this. Damage while fortified was a little bit low. My amulet, I actually had a 3-skill amulet in the bank that I never used. I think it was 3 tides, 1 coalesce. And I sort of just said, fuck it. An amulet can take you 45 minutes to an hour and a half to roll, depending on how fast you click through it. I have speed clicked through the skill I needed once, and you never really make that mistake with an amulet again. So I usually click through slow. So I just did not want to deal with that. So I kept that. This is my ring. I actually had crit damage. I think this ring was actually a triple GA. I can't remember if the GA stays after you roll off the GA or not. Um, but this had crit damage on it. My gloves had crit damage too. I eventually just came to the conclusion that attack speed felt better. I think that I hit certain breakpoints with the animation frames for Blood Wave, and you get more corpse explosions off for resetting your cooldown, so I went with that. And then this ring was a insanely lucky find. I found this ring in probably the last 2 weeks of the season, and uh, put a lot of thought and effort into whether I should invest time in it or not. And I don't know. I'm glad I did. Maybe I hurt myself because I didn't have a J on max life. I don't know if that's why my damage numbers were low, but everything definitely had Vuln. But I got complacent and I lost this necromancer, which kind of sucks because I mean, I really wanted to save this necromancer since it was my first 150 in Diablo 4. But the plus side, since my necromancer is dead and in my dead character pile, um, I can just hit Y and reference it and see what I did in season 7. Um, it's also like nice to go down memory lane. As you can see, there's a trend on what characters I get killed off. I know I'm getting way off topic, and I'll get back to the boss video shortly. My first necromancer died uh, either to a world boss on hard or normal. I don't remember which. It doesn't even matter. It honestly probably was average, but level 23 on hardcore has no business at a world boss, and you definitely want to hide in the corner. So, lesson learned. This was actually my first hardcore character. I don't even remember what season. I want to say fourth, five. This hardcore character, I was leaning back in my chair, farming uh, with a T2 and T3 speed farming, waiting for Unmaker to drop, or waiting for Bloodwave aspects to drop, or waiting for the materials that I needed to get into T3 or T4. I died at Paragon. Can I even see the Paragon on this character? Yeah, I died at Paragon 153. So I was just chill farming. How many hours in? Time played 26 hours. Sheesh. This was my first necromancer of season 7. So I was just obviously not being efficient, but your first time on hardcore hitting 60. Of course, I'm going to take a while. God, 26 hours to get to T3. WTF. This was a Twilight warding glitch. I had been speed farming pits. Literally, all I would do is max movement speed, Soul Rift. I was literally clicking Soul Rift and just running around and letting Soul Rift kill and siphoning kill everything. I must probably on T2. I just wasn't taking the game seriously. I ran into, I think it was the Blood Bishop, the tall tentacle monster, and just instant death. I barely saw him on the edge of my screen and just instant death. And it was unknown. And most of the people I know that died to unknown, it was the Twilight Warding. And I think this was one of the last hardcore deaths to Twilight Warding, because about an hour afterwards, I could no longer do anything with Twilight Warding. I couldn't put it on my new characters. It wasn't. I couldn't manipulate it on any of the characters that still had it. It wasn't coming up on any characters that were using it. So it was sort of just dead. God, I have no clue what the hell this thing. Oh, this character was getting boosted. This character was getting. I was making a second necromancer for farming Lilith. Oh, maybe I was making a backup wave necromancer. I don't think I intended Wrath to be Wave Necromancer, but I don't like using the armory, so I made Wrath something else, and Wave of Rekka was just going to be my Wave Necromancer, and then that way, um, I don't I don't like the armory. It's a personal thing. I recommend anyone who plays on hardcore avoids the armory, and if that treat it like Diablo 3. If that means you have to have two characters, it is generally safer. Typically, whenever I involve the armory on D3, and I learned this lesson on softcore, I will miss one thing because I've changed it since and I haven't resaved it, and uh, I will go do something and the character won't behave how it's supposed to, and it can often result in death. So that's just me. Some people, not an issue, but I rec- recommend that for the average player. Um, Seasonal hardcore. Tormented Echo of Duriel. Oh, this character happened this season. I've actually lost two necromancers this season. I had just made my wave necromancer. It was my first necromancer of the season. I literally woke up on day 2, and my friend invites me to Belial, and I don't think I was set up for Belial, and he pulls Belial the moment I get in the room, and we did not one shot Belial. Belial lived for about 15 seconds, which is quite spooky on hardcore. Um, that's actually incredibly spooky, and I was like, what the fuck? And then we go to Duriel, and as soon as I get to Duriel, he summons Duriel right away, and um, I don't know if Durrell did a knockback last season. I was hadn't had my caffeine. Durrell stunned me, pulled me in. I was spamming Blood Mist and it wasn't working. I don't know if I had the emote emoji wheel out or not. I think I may have, but I also think there was just server lag and Blood Mist wasn't going through because I was literally staring at Blood Mist and I'm like, why aren't you going off? And I've tested Duriel on softcore a bunch. And maybe this was a glitch that Blizzard patched out. Blizzard does not normally do patch notes when they fix things. When they fix trivial things, they fix way too many things and just have given up doing patch notes. But either way, I got hit with Duriel's avoidable combo. He pulled me in, he ate me. I actually have seen another friend die to this season. Literally 2 seconds before Duriel died, he ate them and then he fell over dead. It was, but that's how Duriel goes. Most of these bosses, if they're in the middle of a boss animation, they are finishing that boss animation before they die. So, like with Hatred, you've got to be careful. If he is doing an animation, he is going to finish that animation, and if he has dogs up, those dogs can kill you. So, um, welcome to Diablo. And then this was the necromancer that died to Hatred. I had again. I had a lot of work put into him. So as you can see, I've been hard at work figuring out what I need to do to survive. Andariel. Andariel is not as scary as everyone thinks. Everyone thinks Hatred has a one-shot. He doesn't have a one-shot. He just does so much damage it feels like a one-shot. And as you play with your gear, you will come to realize that it is just a problem that needs to be solved. Lilith. Lilith doesn't have one-shots. People think everything she does one-shots. That is not the case. You can survive a lot of her stuff, which is one of the reasons that Blizzard has paused her at the moment. You can't kill her with a rogue anymore because several rogues learned about that tech and abused it. I think I got a video out just before Rob put his out. I knew about it for about 24 hours. I'm sorry, Blizzard. I'm part of the problem. And then I was going to go to bed, and I realized Blizzard is going to patch this shit. I popped that a little too soon. Also, don't stand in the fire longer than you have to. I was sort of asking for it there. But you can also see that I didn't die right away. Andariel, one of the things you want to do is make sure that you are at these things well before you need to be. I'm going to see if I can get the timing down. No, not on that one. I want to be able to do it with max defensive health. But that Hadouken beam is not as scary as you think it. I can do this. Why am I missing health? Maybe because I talked too long. Okay. Okay, here we go. Oh, you know what? If I had logged out at some point, that also would have done it. Being... I wasted stuff there. As you can see, I barely survived the beam there, but I survived it. Someone lied to me and said you can't immune that beam, and... Oh, that's so spooky. I wonder if I still have my jaw equipped. I love my jaw for speed farming. I'm here. I can sometimes skip that. As you can see, these pools on the ground are normally obnoxious. I can run through them. 7.7k barrier, 3k fortify, 3.6k fortify, 3.6k. As you saw, I was please, I don't want to farm Belial anymore. I hate farming Belial. Please. It's gonna be another shakeout. It's gonna be another shakeout. It is. It is. It is. All you have to do is believe. Never doubt. Never doubt. Never doubt the Blizzard devs. Never doubt the Blizzard gods. Believe that it won't be another Shaco or a very fantastic Andariel's Visage, and you will be rewarded. As you can see, I am dancing with fate, missing this shit like crazy. That beam, I don't even think I'm maximizing my damage reduction on it. Those ads add a layer of damage that is just obnoxious. It does stun, but as you see, if I get the potion timing down just right, I can survive it. I'm just bathing in all the things. Did she die? If you get enough damage on her, you can kill her. I think I got one clap of the blood wave off. It is very nice to skip one of her phases. I've heard that with enough damage, like a throw spear barb, you can actually skip two of her phases. I think I've done it once or twice this season. I do believe it occurred on Torment 1. It is much easier to do that on Torment 1. And I'm out of dolls. But yeah, you can skip some of the bosses. I don't know that you can skip Duriel. Maybe, God willing, hopefully you can. Duriel is not that bad if you have um, instant damage. Duriel is asked to do on a necromancer, um, just because blood wave and picking up orbs. But if you do him on, say, Spiritborn are actually fantastic boss killers, especially for Duriel. It like a Spiritborn on hardcore for Duriel is going to kill it so much faster. You're going to barely notice the changes. But I hate doing Duriel on my Necromancer. I actually don't mind doing him on Hatred until he killed my Necromancer. But up until that point, my Necromancer just, was a boss. Okay. Oh my god. See? On normal, it's not even that bad. Oh my god. I swear you could skip her. The one I did, I skipped her. Alright. Lilith is still incredibly challenging. I have almost killed her solo on T4 this season. The hardest part is prior to stacking health and mitigation was the gray balls in phase 2, 3, and 4 hit insanely hard. They hit so damn hard, it's not even funny. That piece of scratch paper. Um, they're not. I don't think they're still one shots for me, but um, they feel like they should be one shots. So also, if you have a hardcore character who can kill these bosses, and you make a single change to them, something as simple as your consumable runs out, or you have multiple sets of gear and you've swapped it out and you've forgotten you swapped it out, as you can see, it is so easy to die to something you are used to not dying to. So one of the reasons I don't like using the armory on hardcore is just for that fact that it is so simple to miss one thing and all of your hard work is gone. I know people who died last season and lost their witch gems, which is something softcore players don't think about. But losing 3 witch gems on hardcore, um, headhunts are ghost towns on hardcore, or they were. I actually played headhunts most of last season, and on softcore, one of the things I noticed is that witch hunts would have extra people in them when they had less than 10 minutes. On hardcore, you're going to find you are most likely to run into people with a headhunt that had just started. I don't know why that is, but and like it would inverse because on softcore I would go to a witch hunt with sub 15 minutes or sub 9 minutes, and it would just pop off. It would just pop off. You get the event would just never stop, and I could get easily 5 heads an hour on softcore. Hardcore, I was lucky to get a head every 2 hours or 3 hours. Even when I would run into one or two other people, and we wouldn't party up. And at the end of the season, I started just making parties for headhunts. And even then, like the events would pop off, but I just would not see heads. Um, Part of it is I think the zone has a certain calculation because of the potion. Um, it would if you have let's just say 20 people in a headhunt, and they all have the potion rolling, and I don't remember if the seasonal power impacted the heads or not. For whatever reason, it felt like the heads would drop all the time because it spawns and it spawns a head for everybody. So there was something in the calculation that Blizzard missed or messed up, and so headhunts on softcore felt amazing. Headhunts on hardcore were so painful just because nobody had heads, and the only people who had heads on hardcore took advantage of that feature. And thank you, Blizzard, for not noticing or patching that game feature. We didn't know it wasn't a feature, but once we found out it was, we were like, oh well, thanks for letting us know. We're all good boys over here. So Lilith is actually patched right now. She will not go below the 8 in her name. If you have someone who isn't in the fight, who's in town, or you have someone who can't be killed or damaged by her, and she's being stupid right now. She doesn't normally do this. She's hanging out on the edge. She's glitching. Lilith is very glitchy. Whatever Blizzard did to lock her, she has not been performing like she normally does. That is nice. She doesn't normally spawn like that. She's wandering around. She is so unbelievably broken. And what's frustrating is, in my previous video, she does not fly to the sides. Somehow Blizzard patched that so that she at least doesn't screw you over by covering the room and there's no safe spot. But she is so unbelievably messed up, and she's not the only one. That Beamon and Andariel will, if you trigger a transition, will just go to nowhere land. And it's a very spooky animation. I like to use a cooldown there, just because that is a pain point. I think I technically got hit by an orb there. Last season in Season 7, I did about 50 to 60 kills on hardcore. I did a lot of carries. Not happy with how that worked out. These orbs are not syncing up. This is... I thought I blood misted there. I could actually get hit by 4 of these orbs last season on Torment 1. I don't know that 5 would have ended well for me. She's actually doing what she's supposed to do. Sometimes when I'm in parties with others, she will just chill in the middle. But I think I can kill her here. Also, her abilities in Phase 1 are way nicer. She normally does not linger on the edge of this ring. For some reason, she started lingering on the edge of the ring. And I went out of bounds there. Not supposed to do that. You actually have to damage her on the outside of the ring. If you don't, she's going to endlessly do these mechanics. And she does not normally go below the 8 here. If you're in a group that has a rogue that can bug abuse this fight, for some reason rogues just would not take any damage from... Well, I wouldn't say not take any damage, but rogues were mitigating so much damage on this fight, it was ridiculous. I love the graphics on this platform. Blizzard probably put half of their effort into just designing this lead up to her. I do tend to cut it close there. And I ran over the pool there. You do not want to do that. It will slow you. And the orbs are still live here. You've got to be very careful, and I absolutely should have died there. I ate an orb there. That would normally kill me, but I have created enough health buffer for myself, and I really do not want... I probably should have immuned there. Okay, we are going to disperse here, because we are a Shadow Priest, and that is what that ability is. There are still some orbs up, and if I can nail this, she dies. Whew. And that would have been an achievement. So, definitely a very brutal fight. I honestly did not expect that to happen, but it's probably been about 25 attempts. And I don't think bringing people along really impacted things as Blood Wave. You do enough damage that, the first hit is kind of just trucking her anyhow, and she's going to go down. I definitely had really solid defensive cooldowns there, which allowed me to overcome skill gaps. Those orbs, for whatever reason, I think day 3 of season 8 were one-shotting me through blood mist. I like to call it dispersion because it's a shadow priest. It's dispersion, but they were one-shotting me through blood mist. I had to dodge every single one of those orbs um, uh, prior, and it was not fun. It was like because I'm used to being able to eat at least one. Um, and the nice thing about Blood Mist is it removes the debuffs, so there was that. But anyhow, this is Torment 4. One of the reasons I just do not do Lilith on Torment 4 on Hardcore is simply that she can glitch out. It is a fun thing to do at the end of the season, and I did intend to do it last season just to see if I could, and died trying to repeat my 150 pit. Oh well, that's how it goes. Um, Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the rambling, and I hope you enjoyed me showcasing the bosses and ways that you can overcome them. I think my next video is going to be about hardcore and just how to get into hardcore, what to expect in hardcore, and I can even go over some of the advantages. It is definitely a much more mature um, community over on hardcore. People, I'm just gonna say, are not snowflakes, and also there's no room for freeloaders. You can die at any time, and the people who have a tendency to be carried on softcore because they don't know how to gear and they don't know how to outskill the content. You don't see them on hardcore. So yes, hardcore is a little bit more intense, and you have this stressed economy and stressed resource budget. You really have to maximize what you do with the resources that you acquire. But and that's part of the magic. But one of the other things you get is a community where it is a bunch of mature professionals. You have people who, regardless of what they do for a living, um, they're a mature professional. They're fairly respectful. Um, if you're doing something stupid, they're probably going to call you on it, and the correct answer is, to acknowledge it, laugh about it, grow from it, but not shy away from it. Uh, but lean into it and just use it as an opportunity to grow. And hey, sometimes you just make a stupid mistake, and uh, uh, you should have caught it and you didn't. But anyhow, if you haven't checked out Hardcore, I do recommend trying it out. For anyone who watched this video, I hope it helps you consider and tackle Andariel and Hatred. Um, they don't have to be scary bosses, but they definitely deserve respect. I've killed Hatred about, I'm just going to ballpark 25 times on Hardcore, maybe even more. I'm not going to say that I do the fight perfectly, but my last death has um, certainly taught me some lessons about him. But usually, I was used to him nipping me in the butt. He nips me in the butt on softcore, he nips me in the butt on hardcore, and I don't know what change I made to my character that turned that mechanic into a one shot, or if I just didn't kill a portal fast enough and one of the dogs damaged my health bar before he did. Having done hatred enough, if you are not on top of those portals and you allow the missiles to come out, or you allow a dog to even walk through you, that is going to take away some of your fortify, some of your barrier, and you need every single thing you can. When I say hatred would nip me in the butt, he would nip me in the butt and leave me with 10% health. Um, but the last time he just left me with 0. So lesson learned. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this eventful, and I will see you in Diablo 4. Take care.